Hello, my name is Paul Chefalou, and this is a video of a game that I made using Cocos 2D version 3 for my Emerging Technologies in Mobile Gaming class. So what you're looking at now is Xcode, which is an Apple development system, and on the screen there, that's a simulator of the iPhone 5 Retina screen. So the idea of the game is it's a simple dice game. It's called Under and Over, and you usually see this game at carnivals or church bazaars or bingo nights or gambling nights or something like that. And it's a very simple game. You essentially bid for a number to come up as odd, even, or the number 7. And the game is if you bet on 7, the odds are 4 to 1. And so that means if you put down a quarter, you'll get $1 back. If you bet on even, then that's an even bet, and you'll get so that's a 1 to 1. So if you put down a quarter, you'll get a quarter back. If you bet odds, that's 2 to 1, and that means that if you put a quarter down, you'll get 50 cents back. So that's essentially the idea of the game. So what we'll do now is we'll play the game, show you what it can do, and then we'll go into the code and see how the magic was performed. All right, so let's play the game. What you're looking at right now is a splash screen, and that's displayed while the program is actually loading. And in a moment, you'll see my home screen. This is my home screen. I have 2 screens, a home screen and a main screen. Now, this particular screen has several things on it. It has an image of a pair of dice. It has the word under and over, and it has credits information up in the upper right-hand corner. If you look down in the center of the lower center, you'll see there's a play button. And if you look over to the lower right-hand corner, you'll see there's another button there. That's the exit button. So let's press the play button and let's go check out the game. So when you click a button, it makes a clicking sound, and I don't know if you can hear it, but it does make a clicking sound. Right now there's some background music being played. It's an upbeat type of music that you find in typical video games. So what you're looking at now is the main screen. You see there's a pair of dice in the center. There are actually 6 buttons, but one of those buttons is a special button. I'll explain why. You have the exit button in the upper left-hand corner. You have the roll the dice button in the upper right-hand corner. And down in the center, you'll see that there's a button that's for odd, 7, or even. And that's how you bid. So now it's telling you to make a selection anywhere you bid. Now, the other button that you see in the lower right-hand corner, I had to put that button in because the capture program that I'm using to make this video slows down the Cocos 2D physics engine so that the dice don't roll. They slow down real fast and then just stop. So all the button does is it removes the platform, so it allows the dice to fall straight through, and then it's as if they rolled off the platform. And and then you'll see the outcome of the roll. So let's give it a shot. I'm gonna select even. You'll see that it puts the word even above the 7 there. And now I'm gonna roll the dice. You'll see the dice are coming down, and you hear the typical cartoon falling sound. So there are the dice, and they start rolling. And you'll notice at some point it starts slowing down to the point where it barely makes it to the end. But maybe this time it looks like it might do it. You see it slowing down? It might not make it to the end. But maybe we can see what happens and give you an idea of what's supposed to happen under normal conditions. So there's one of the die that's fallen off the platform. As you can see, the other one has pretty much lost all its momentum, and it's coming to a stop. But it would fall off the edge just like the one on the left did. So why don't we press the speed up button and we'll remove the platform.
Yay!
So in this case, the number 2 came up, 1 on each die, and because we bet even, we won. You'll see the word winner up top. You heard a sound effects of somebody cheering because they're very happy that they won. And now you just do it again. So we'll pick odd this time. So you see the word odd, and we'll roll the dice. Now, notice the dice, the position that they're in. That was not for cosmetic reasons. The reason why the dice are the way they are, in this case we won again, let's try 7 this time, is that when I first did this, I had them at the same level. When they came down and they landed on the platform, they just landed on the platform and didn't roll. So I had to get them to roll. As you can see in this case, we bet 7 and the number 3 came up, so we lost. And rather than saying, oh, you lose, you're a loser, I decided to say sorry. And there's a gentleman a little upset that his bet didn't win. So, but let's look at this now again with the dice. I'm going to roll it and show you the dice. So you notice that one's up above the other one, and the top one is off center a bit, so that it's the trailing edge is just touching, is just in line with the middle of the die that's on the bottom. The reason for this is that the first die, the die that's furthest at the bottom, will land first on the platform. Then the second die will come down because the physics engine is still putting it in motion because it's up higher. And in Cocos 2D, it uses the center of the object as 0, 0, as a top left. So so normally you put these top left and use the upper left-hand corner. Cocos 2D uses the center of the object. So what that means is that when the dice comes down and it meets and it gets to the center of the object, as if it landed on a platform. So because it's on the edge, there'll be a moment. There'll be a moment on it, and what that moment does is that it causes the dice to start turning to the side. When it turns to the side, it's picking up momentum, and it hits the other die. You guys are a little upset. So it hits the other die and pushes off that die at the same time. From Newton's laws. And so the dies go in 2 different directions and they start rolling. That's how I got them to roll. So, you have to think a little bit and try to take advantage of the engine. So as you can see, essentially we can just play this all day. And it's a very simple game. Okay?
Yay!
So if I press exit, we return back to the home screen, and if I press play, we return to the main screen, and you'll see that the platform is returned and everything is back to normal, and it says make a selection. All right. Now there was an issue that I had that's interesting. We'll look at here when this is here. See this pair of dice that's in the center of the screen? Well, that's set up as a, those are dynamic, well, first it started out as a static object, a static body. And that means that it doesn't move. So anything that hits it will essentially bounce. It's like hitting a wall or the floor. Now apparently, one of the things I do is that when I press the roll button, I hide those 2 dice. And then you see the main dice falling down that I appear. I make them visible and they start falling down. Now, the problem is that there's a quirk inside the Cocos physics engine that even though those 2 dice cubes there were invisible. The engine it wasn't invisible to the engine, the physics engine. So what would happen is that dice would come to the middle, and then they wouldn't roll, they wouldn't do anything. They caught up in between the two dice. So that became a problem. So I figured, all right, let me make it dynamic. Maybe that way it won't bounce off of it. Well, the problem is that as soon as I made it dynamic, they fell through the floor. So obviously making it dynamic was not the answer here. So I had to do something, because the only alternative was to move the dice out of the way, and that's a little bit more work. So I thought about it, and what I did was I said, well, there's a world variable that everything in that world, it knows about. Anything in that world variable, it knows about the object. You can have many world variables, and they're isolated from each other. So what that means is that it's essentially transparent, as if the object isn't there. So the two dice that you see on the screen were created using a different world variable. That's a B2 world data type. So now the dice can stay there, and when the dice come down, the smiley face and the sad face, when those two dice come down and they land in that area, they don't see the dice anymore because it's in another world as far as they're concerned. They get them as parallel universes, or out of sync, out of dimension. So that's how I had to solve that problem, was an idiosyncrasy. So that's there. And we can show you that in the code. All right? Okay, so let's go look at the code.